Where are we? Come on, you're here somewhere.
Interesting.
This one. What are you interesting at?
Oh, it's just an interesting map. I've played a few good games in this one.
Shall I straight? We
Yeah,
had
like
this.
4v4s and stuff.
We had this in Nation Wars, I think.
Maybe that's where I played it.
Yeah, I remember. I'm pretty sure we had this in Nation Wars. My team ended up not playing Nation Wars for reasons. But we did a bunch of practice on this map because it was me and Outlaw Elite, who are both very much C players, who were like, "This looks like a good map for us."
Battle started.
Forward spawns. How do you think about forward spawns? So you happy with that?
Where it spawns. Yeah, I mean the com can just walk through the water.
Yeah.
And up the other side. Totally. It's rough. Like, maybe I'd be tempted to advocate for a C start on this map. And you start back, you go into the cove, drop a C factory, go to the island, get the additional mexes. That would get you a lot of metal really quickly. Then you don't have to babysit the C lab. And then you just build frigates and run them around the map. A lot of games I played on this map, team games, were decided by that sort of a play.
Yeah.
But the other thing open to you is just walking.
Yeah. Well, going by what he said, he did just go for a walk.
Yeah. I don't really like X Factor's approach to this map, which is you haven't seen it yet. He builds a bunch of pawns and sends them across. And I think it works out. But it shouldn't have, because there's one place to go.
I mean, if you look at in terms of land, it's actually a really long rush distance. Like,
yeah. If we time that out, just to get like an approximate.
I'm going to guess for a pawn about 40 seconds.
To where?
From one base to the other base. To take
Guess
the whole
again.
path. Minute?
Minute and 10.
Oh wow. Yeah, that is that's really long.
Yeah. In terms of how much resources you can produce or how much army you can put out to respond to it in that time in one single choke is a minute and 10, say on like 8 metal per second, you're looking at like 500 metal worth of incisors waiting for you when you roll up with your first pawn.
Yeah.
It not including the ones that have been extra boosted out by initial resources. So I'm really curious about like the line of sight on, because like a single radar by Neb straight away would detect any sort of brush that comes across this map. I wouldn't build scouts because you can get all the information from a single radar.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at it, radar, covers everything you need.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, depending on the traversability of those pawns, they may or may not be able to like. There's a bunch of sneaky, like they're right on the edge of its range there.
Well, they're not on the edge.
But like they were walking on the slope. Yeah.
Like, the thing is that even when he gets to here, you still got like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I think I'd go like a 3-con opening or something. I'm a greedy boy, so.
Yeah, but what those cons do is kind of my question. Is like,
well, I mean, one con goes gets mexes, other one expands these mexes, and the last one frees up your commander.
Yeah.
The commander just walks straight across here, for instance.
Yeah, 3-con opening. I'd definitely put out some I mean, if you put out radar, there's plenty of time to see what's coming in.
You have an early radar, you go 3 cons, and you can
But
just... 2 incisors is going to cover anything that's scary.
yeah, and
Uh,
I'd probably something like first con just sits on the base so I can walk my con through the water and shut down mid.
I mean, that's pretty
And then
reasonable.
second con,
Yeah, like first con, and then your commander could be here by now,
yeah.
ish.
Yeah, but then you'd need additional units in order to. That would be a less greedy. That would be an aggressively greedy open, but economically. This is what you're suggesting is more of an economically greedy open, which
Yeah.
you could go either way. Because aggression is extremely limited here.
Yeah, it's really hard to be aggressive. It's effectively a tiny choke versus a tiny choke, and this is tiny chokes as well.
Yeah.
Except
to water.
Yeah. Well,
Where it's still tiny chokes, but chokes matter a lot less to water, which can free up the other chokes with their range, and B just are much harder to stop in a choke than other things.
Yeah, I see this map as you're trying to lock up the map and get him to see before the other guy, basically.
Yeah.
But Neb quite possibly is not comfortable with C at all, which is understandable.
Okay.
Lots of people, I don't know for either way, but most people aren't comfortable with C, as far as I know.
Yeah. So he sees the first pawn coming out, incisors. The not having a radar with incisors trying to defend is more or less criminal. But again, that one incisor could sit near the constructor and the mechs, and the other could sit near the other constructor and the mechs, and that would be plenty.
Yeah, because this one gets through. Oh, and he kills that.
Yeah, but a radar would have closed that off. Wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah.
I mean, he could even like he did there, send the first 2 across and then send 1 back. The Comwalk was possibly too early, but mostly because he needed to react to things. But with a radar and just reacting with units to enemy units, it would have been fine.
Yeah. A single pawn through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the thing is, there's incisors after the first pawn should have been subbed, and the incisors could just sit here.
Yeah. The other thing that was bad in micro by the incisors, he walked them behind the constructor right beside each other. If they were just either side of the con, they could absolutely defend the con from those pawns.
Yeah.
Can we turn the player view off here? Because I also want to, like, say this is possibly like a premature resign. Like, yes, X Factor has a lot of constructors, but this isn't. I guess there's a pawn in the base and he doesn't have a unit to stop it.
Yeah, this is the problem.
Okay.
Yeah, lack of radar, I think.
Yeah. And lack of reaction to what happened.
Not reading the map correctly is my first thoughts.
Yeah.
The second is not radar.
Yeah. But I don't think the Comwalk was the issue there at all.
No.
In fact, I like the Comwalk a lot.
Yeah. If these 2 pawns had been denied, this com is fantastic.
Yeah. Or if it responded to them, the pawns with building incisor rather than yet another constructor. By the looks of it, the incisor would already be complete. Especially because it costs a lot less build power. Maybe you'd even have 2 out given the resources available.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, 2 incisors out, and that would keep the base alive.
Certainly, I wouldn't go any more than 3 cons in the early at all on this.
Yeah.
There's no point for no need for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, con walking against bots in this situation is also extremely risky, to be honest. Because then he just goes rocket bots and pushes the com back with no supporting constructor. So part of that com walk would be, I'd advise you get a constructor up there as fast as possible. It's going to be hard to get one fast enough to stop rocket bots, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how long is it going to take a con to walk this far? It's...
Yeah. But then also, if you play for just like denying the area rather than securing it, you could probably get enough brutes out to like heavily pressure rocket bots.
I mean, an LLT or two. And
Yeah.
then your commander just walks into the water.
I wouldn't. He just drops the torp launcher, walks his comm in, and you're dead.
Well, I mean, he has to drop the torp launcher and then commit to that. But I mean, if you see him dropping the torp launcher, you just walk back out again. You're fine. But you're forced. You've forced him to react to that.
Fair.
It's
I'm just not sure if that's more value than you'd get by just sitting on the land. But the other thing you could do is like just eat your vehicle factory and
just make a new
drop into boats.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what you're actually going for. Is you're going into boats. I mean, that's probably what I would have thought is you LLT shipyard.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you definitely if they're going pawn spam against you, you definitely want your comm on land so you can drop LLTs and keep your mexes alive.
Yeah.
And secure more mexes. Because the comm's going to be the only thing that can build mexes and keep the pawns off them. Because if then they kill your mexes on land, you don't have any metal for ships. But conversely, you can reach basically every mex on land with your ships.
Yeah.
So if you just go frigates, I wouldn't spend any time on dolphins. Frigates, maybe eventually a destroyer, but if it's not sea, you'll only need one. And that one just is a follow the commander around enemy commander around wherever he goes.
Yeah.
And then the game's over.
Yeah, I mean, if you get an unopposed sea lab up on this map in a 1v1, I don't like the game is basically over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also want to make a point about like ever oversimplifying the game to like autos baited into a com walk.
Yes.
No game can be explained that simply, I think.
Said he panicked into a com walk, but
yeah.
The com was not the problem.
Yeah, by no means. And so I think any time I'd give it advice, anytime you feel yourself explaining a game, it's like, oh, we were fine except for that one thing. No, there's going to be a huge number of other things which led up to that situation. Maybe even things which played into those situations, which made that the best thing to do or something. Like, there's always a huge number of factors going to anything, and even these 3-minute games are a lot more complicated than I just com walked.
Yeah, I panicked and walked my com is certainly not what happened in this game. Yes, if the com had been here, you wouldn't have died to this pawn.
Yeah.
But
the X Factor's pretty good.
X Factor's pretty good, so he might have there's a good chance he'd have microed around and killed your wind anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was not the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Possibly could note that it looks like having overbuilt wind for the situation, maybe slightly. But he had extra mexes. No, it's okay.
He had more mexes.
I don't mind. It's okay.
Yeah, I think this is fine. He needs some extra energy for doing things like radar, etc. And making mexes.
Radar compared to the metal cost doesn't cost that much energy.
Yeah.
It's about 1 to 10, which is slightly more than most vehicle units. Constructors are slightly more again.
They do have a very low build cost though, so they build very fast and use a lot of energy very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. But generally, in
fine.
terms of proportion, it's about the same proportion about the other things you're going to be building. So you don't need any more energy production relative to your metal production to support building a radar.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's fine. I think this is fine. I don't have a problem with it. Maybe slightly over, maybe slightly under. Who like it's not to say. But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't like rovers on a map like this.
Max 1.
Max 1 for scouting.
But even that is meh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you could probably find out like what start is he doing from it, maybe. And that could be valuable.
Yeah. Yeah. You can come in here and go, oh, you've been really greedy. Maybe I get a mix. But like,
or like,
he's a
you
good
don't
player.
have any units on land, you're in sea, or things like that.
Yeah, I mean that would be super valuable.
Or you can tell like Armada or Cortex, which might inform some minor decisions that you might make.
Yeah. I mean, I love a single scout, but I certainly wouldn't do any more than a single scout on a map like this. You're trying to get through a gap this big.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like a single scout will scout that gap.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is the map.
You look at the circle of the line of sight. It like that entire base area is about as big as a single scout can scout, so you don't need any more.
I mean, if you actually think about what the map is, it's a long line, a really narrow line.
Yeah.
Would you make a scout on speed metal, like the thin line speed metal? You make a scout. You might not make 10 because there's one LT stops it.
I often don't even scout on speed metal, to be honest. It's just not worth it.
It's not worth it. But it was more in terms of the shape of the map.
Like, really, by the time you find out anything, it's like the information isn't really useful. It's already too late.
Yeah.
Like,
you find out, oh, he's T3 already.
It's too early to react.
Yeah.
You know? Or too late because they just zip across the map so fast. But it seems so fast, but then it's also like so long for the scout to get there.
Yeah. It's you've delayed yourself too much on speed metal scouting. But that's not the point. That's not the point I was making. The point is the map is a long line.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be thinking of. A long line with some really narrow chokes.
And some distractions along the way.
Yeah. Some random max distractions.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's our 3-minute map. Are we happy with this? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'm happy with that. All right.
Shall we do another modular game?
Modular game? Do you mean neb modular?
Neb modular, yeah.
Sure. Which one?
I don't know. I picked the last one you picked now.
The Titan duel, where he said he thinks it did really good. We're going to tear him to pieces.
Yeah, totally. I've been practicing that one. He's pretty good at it.
Where is it? Titan duel. I don't love this map. I'm not a 1v1 player, so what do I know?
Did you say you love this map?
I don't like this map.
But you don't like it?
For no particular reason.
Well, what's the reason?
Oh, I just think it looks ugly. And I don't have a nice little max cluster to sit in to be happy.
Yeah.
Well,
you got 2 mixes. That's a pretty good map cluster.
Oh, yeah, very, very OP. I think the one and only time I think I played this game like the map like twice. I did Mex LLT and walked last Mex.
Yeah, breathing exercises are so good for nerves.
It's so good, genuinely.
Yeah, but also just talking with someone. Just find someone you can chat with before a tournament that can just keep your mind level.
Yeah.
I did that with Goopy once and he won, so I think that's how it happened. It's a vague memory by this point. But yeah. And
so what do you think about on opening on this map?
I think Ned knows how to open on this map. I think he's gonna show you how to open on this map.
All right.
I think. Let's see.
We'll see. Well, I did say we've got to be as nitpicky as possible.
Ah, yes. That is too far to walk for a radar. That is further away from the rest of the map in his queue up there.
Yeah, I agree. I
know, Neb, you like those hills, but it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Build that radar between the second and third max, really.
Here
or even just build, or probably actually what I'd say, build a radar at the second max, a little bit back, so it's slightly easier defendable, and then build another radar at the 2 max, and then an LLT at the 2 max. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, a radar here is really good. This is a really good radar.
Yeah.
It covers this bottom side, covers all the way up to here. That's fantastic radar.
Yeah. The general rule I have with maxes is build one every second max you build.
The radar,
because that's generally about how far the maxes are spaced. The
Mhm.
more rule is like you want about half a radar's distance in front of your units at all times, something like that. Radar is extremely powerful, and so you don't want to walk out of radar range before you build another radar.
Yeah.
Because you've already gone into blind and have had no radar.
I know from playing C, going into unradared area is so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
He built a radar. Not perfect radar, but he did build a radar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little too close to base.
Yeah. I agree. I like
because you've already got pretty good control of that. It's also slightly too early to need one. Especially because your grunts are scouting and handling a lot of that for you, but it's all right.
Yeah. If your grunts are out here and you're keeping track of his army, you don't need a radar at home that badly.
Yeah.
You do want to go into one, obviously, but
all right.
Units.
What's he doing back at his base?
Neb.
Just pumping grunts. Okay, I'm very happy with that.
Modular is greeting a fair bit harder. He's on 3 con to Neb's 2.
What's the third con doing?
It's just come out.
Okay. He's also been a little more aggressive getting the cons out, not stop to build radar, that sort of thing.
He's expanding much more aggressively.
That's all right. He also grabs the more central con on the way to the more central max on the way to the 2 max, which is all right, but I generally skip it because you get to the 2 maxes faster.
This map looks slightly imbalanced here. This is bigger than this. It's definitely a bigger walk. It's not a much bigger walk, but it's definitely a bigger walk. It's not a big deal. I just noticed it.
Yeah, it is. By over 10%. And then walking back in 643 versus 831. It's almost a 20% difference in walking time. That's really bad. But yeah, I'd probably...
I think it might be...
And then it's also got the hole that defends the 2. They both kind of have a hole, but...
Yeah. This hole is uncomfortable.
Very much so.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like this looks not. This...
I did until you said that.
That's why I said it. But yeah, this looks like a much nicer expansion path. On this one, I would go for this mech. On this side, I wouldn't. I think.
Yeah.
But
this more or less makes this one map where I'd probably not send the grunts down the center of the map because they're probably not going to find anything. You want to send the grunts on one side, and you probably want to send them all on one side as well. Maybe one to scout on the other side just to see if anything's coming. And then you could just push back and kill that constructor, given the way Modulo split his army. You're on his side of the map, and you're more expanded on the right side of the map, so it makes sense to stay on the right side of the map because then you're closer to your primary expansion. That will make radar more important on the left side of the map. Things like that. Yeah. I don't really like the way the grunts are hung there, trapped in the corner.
Yeah,
that is a free opportunity waiting for modular. I'd just run out of there.
There's two things I dislike about this.
Yeah.
This con, the entire difference between the modular is paid to get this extra con out is 2 grunts.
Yeah.
Neb is on 13 grunts and modular is on 11, and these 2 grunts are dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Effectively means this con is free.
The only plus side is that modular kind of modular is probably going to send at least 3 grunts to do that, and so if he does that, then Neb can just drive his army straight up into that constructor. But then Neb would be modular would be wise to react with his grunts, so it might not do anything. Or Neb could bring in his own grunts and trap Modulo's army there, but I don't think Neb's army is big enough to actually win that. That's 6v5, right? Yeah. Then Modulo would still win.
Yeah, Modulo would win this fairly comfortably. Getting yourself trapped here is very bad.
Yeah. So the difference between you two isn't big enough at this point to really do anything other than poking and prodding and scouting. You have a slight advantage, and that will play out. But you'll need patience, and you've got probably up to about 2.5 minutes to find an opportunity to use your advantage.
Yeah, those grunts are
less because it's a wind map.
A good chunk of that advantage is on this side of the map as well.
Yeah. And they should be either heading across the map or sitting in a defensive position, really.
Yeah.
Because they're just sitting in the mid.
These have been sitting here for a while as well.
Yeah.
Anywhere here is bad. Don't be in here. Be here or be here. or moving between the two.
Pause. So the grunts over on the left, if Neb had reacted a little bit faster, Modular's grunts were all spread out. Perfect opportunity to just run straight towards him and give him no chance to regroup them. Still, in this case, it's got 4 grunts directly there near your 5. You can't really see that, but generally speaking, you see an army unit, drive straight towards it and push it as far back and see how he postures, so you can get a bit of that game of poker playing. You were more able to see that grunt earlier, but he ran away.
Push this way.
Yeah.
See if there's anything more there, because you know he's got grunts. You know his units are the same speed as yours. So as long as you react, you won't lose anything, even if he has twice your number.
Yeah.
And in this case, he has less than you. Up until now.
Until he regroups.
Until he regroups.
Yeah. And so pulling back there was
pulling back was the correct thing, definitely.
Yeah.
It's radar.
Yeah, because that radar could already be up if you didn't walk all the way over to it.
Yeah. Does this radar actually spot it? It just barely spots this.
Yeah. And that's a good example of being right on the edge of your radar range.
Yeah.
It's just too far away from your other radar as well.
Yeah. If this radar was here instead, you'd be in so much more comfortable position.
Yeah.
And you didn't need it this early. All right, we'll carry on. So here's the thing I'll mention. You knew how many grunts this was. You'd seen 4 grunts. And you'd seen the rest of his grunts over this side. You
That's
knew
a good point.
Couldn't be more than 4 grunts. Or if it was like not a lot more. You could have just gone straight for it.
Yeah.
Either or put 5 grunts here and move somewhere else.
Yeah. But even if the 5 grunts, like move the 5 grunts forward if you're pressuring somewhere else as well.
Yeah.
And even now, because you've got a lot on radar, I'd just dive, like pressure everything at that side. Again, you know there aren't that many grunts on the other side. Pressure everything that side, and then you set your factory waypoint to the other side. And I think that constructor, Modulo's constructor up there would die.
This one? Or this one?
Not that one.
This one?
Yeah. The other one has a laser tower and stuff to protect it.
Doesn't yet, but yes.
And that's the
side you saw. He'd seen strength over here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
This is a good fight.
Yeah.
Reasonably well microed as
Knowing you outnumbered him, you should have walked straight through it and not hesitated at all. That hesitation let 4 units get away. He would have killed basically nothing, and you would have killed an extra 4 units, and then just been able to roll through and GG.
If you'd killed these 4 units, these 5 units are also dead. They're effectively irrelevant.
And then questionable whether the other ones would come in, but then you can just bring those reinforcements that we suggested you bring in, and then those other ones are also dead all the way back to his base.
If you commit to that fight and you kill these 4, you push through here, and these push through here, and the game is over.
I don't know if you'd successfully push through that, because there is an LT. I would probably...
This is the thing. He doesn't have to commit to this.
Yeah.
But these units have to respond this direction.
Right, and if those units respond the other direction, I probably want the grunts also over there.
These ones?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to be chasing. It's going to be a defeat in detail. Like, he'd kill this and then he'd kill this.
What do you mean?
So if he is able to get all these grunts together, he kills this.
Yeah. Yeah.
These will arrive later.
Right.
Then he just ends up with no advantage.
Well, he doesn't have to lose the other grunts. He can wait until his reinforcements arrive too, and because there's a vast outnumber, then I think that's an even bolder position for him. Then once he pushes him back, then he can deal with the other expansions once he controls the map. I guess that is like pushing at the LT is another way to control things. Just feels like a relatively expensive way, because killing an LT, you're going to lose at least 1 grunt.
He doesn't have to commit to the LT. He can go around it.
Yeah. I just prefer him.
If he's massed all these,
yeah,
he's somewhat nearly equal with reinforcements to both of these groups together. Assuming he loses these 4 grunts.
I think I may be wrong here, but I think if he brings his second army up, then he's more likely to kill the right side mexes and the left side mexes. But if he leaves the other army over the left side, then he's probably only going to kill the left side mexes.
I think if he groups them up, he doesn't kill either. I think if he groups them, he doesn't kill either. These take too long to get here.
How many units does Modulo have? So
Modulo is slightly behind. He's on. If we take these 4 out, assuming that Neb had committed and killed them.
Yeah.
He probably would lose 1 extra grunt killing these. So we could take. So Neb would be on 16.
Yeah.
And Modulo would be on 13 if he'd lost these 4.
Yeah.
If Modulo stopped making cons and went to full grunts, I think he'd have enough to defend all those. By the time you'd kill this mech probably. But I think you just get stopped here.
I think you're more likely to get more stopped if you also move towards the LLT, because there's also an LLT there.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be any units there. Like this way, he beats this and he beats this as it currently stands. Assuming he's killed these 4. It's like a like a Knight's Fork, or whatever you want to call it. He's forcing him to, you either lose this or you lose this. I don't think you can get both. He does have an advantage, but he doesn't have that big an advantage. And these units are way out of position for assisting this side. This is what, 25 seconds?
Lol, I accidentally have the replay paused almost at exactly the same point that you have it.
Very nice.
Not quite. Is the laser tower done for you?
It is.
So
it is.
like,
Yes.
let's move this a little bit forward.
4:15. I'm at.
Okay. Okay, there we go. There we go. 9 against 10 over there. 7 against 7. Cortex, about 20 seconds for the grunts to come over. It's also about 20 seconds for any reinforcements from the factory.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think he gets
it's
stopped.
about 16 seconds for reinforcements to the laser tower, and it's still about 20 seconds to the LLT. So he's just about as far away from the LLT. He might kill the LLT at probably some damage to his army, but then I'd expect him to kill no more than that if he brings that over. And then he does no damage on the right side with that army over there.
So why would he not be able to carry on from here?
First he has to spot the LLT. Does he know about the LLT? Does Neb know? Neb doesn't know the LLT's there. So if he drives up to the LLT, then he has to go around. With some delay, that's 34 seconds until he gets to the max. I think that's reasonably enough time for Modulo to put up enough army to at least keep him off the second max. Maybe at best he kills the forward max. If he goes through the LLT, then there's
So the way I see it is that it ends up being, you force Modulo to move those 7 grunts defending this outside up towards the north.
Yeah.
Leaving just an LT. If these units come back, these units can push through. Unless Modulo perfectly splits. If he doesn't come back, these units can push through. He can't make enough reinforcements to defend this. He can make, what, 3 grunts?
How many mexes do you think is going to kill?
I would say he'd kill these 2. And this con. And this radar, which I think is very valuable as well.
Okay. In the time taken to get to the laser tower, he can probably send 1 grunt reinforcement there if he started building it. They had a little bit more advanced warning for this, so it could have been better preparation, but from 4:15, he could get 1 grunt there.
I mean, in realistic terms,
the
other thing, if we were assuming that Neb had taken this fight well and killed these 4 and then continued pushing through, he'd actually be somewhere in this area. But anyway, we're talking in speculation here. Anyway, so we'll go back to the game.
I don't mind doing this though.
Yeah, it's enjoyable, but I think we're supposed to be replay reviewing, not speculating.
I think this is useful, and I think talking through our logic is useful too.
I do think it's useful, but I'm trying to move us along.
Yeah. I do think though that Modulo could have a full 6 grunts to defend that second max, and Neb would have lost at least 1 grunt by the time he gets there. And so with a proper response, especially if he uses the con to repair the laser tower, that's right there. I think that's all he kills, which is still valuable.
Yeah. So I think losing 1 grunt to kill this would 100% be worth it. And I don't think that he'd get more by trying to join up. I think he'd get less.
Okay.
And that's assuming, of course, that Modulo has a perfect reaction to him pushing in here.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, my reaction to switching to grunts would have been when I started to lose grunts in that army earlier.
Modulo making cons here is a bit mad.
Yeah.
Especially as many as he's got queued up. He's already greeded quite hard on cons. Yeah. As it stands, you didn't take a good fight. Fight as good as you could.
Yeah.
And you got a very small advantage from it, but not enough. This is good. Catching these is good. Scouting's fine.
That spread out line that you're drawing is a little too spread out for my liking. Reacting to the laser tower is fantastic.
Yeah, good reaction. Could have been slightly quicker, but it's good enough.
Yeah. But I'd prefer a reaction that goes up and around rather than just falling back. Yeah.
I mean,
and just go around and behind, or
trying to go through here.
Yeah.
And that's very committal.
It is. I think he has enough units to have it and to do that and to do damage doing that.
I think he hadn't seen how many grunts there were. He doesn't know where Modulo's army is. So I'm perfectly fine with him being careful. If he pushes through here and then he gets collapsed on both sides, those are terrible arrows. Sorry, collapsed on both sides.
Then his right army can do whatever it wants. If there's a collapse from both sides, plus you can get a lot of grunts out if you're collapsed on both sides. So long as you don't get through there and walk straight towards the base, if you just continue curving around the LLT, you might pick up that one next.
So here's the thing. You were unhappy about me saying he should commit for these, but you think he should try and commit for this run through. I think this is a way worse move.
Well, I think it's okay.
It's super, it's a huge risk for not a lot of reward.
I don't think it's as big a risk, and there's a bunch of information reward you get from it, and a huge opportunity for Modulo to misplay.
I think that kind of thing is quite easy to respond to. That's really straightforward.
How would you react to that?
I'd pull these this way. I'd pull some of these, probably.
Well, if you... Yeah.
And I'd shift my commander south. Or probably shift my commander this direction. And I wouldn't have made this many cons, but it's a different matter.
Because part of the thing is, I'm thinking about this from the point where he was right in front of the LT. By the time he's backed off, it's
Yeah.
Too late.
Obviously, from when he's here.
But yeah, I would go.
I mean, Modulo's forces were in this sort of area. He's only very slightly outnumbered. This grunt wasn't with it. It was 7 grunts.
when the grunts are backing off from the LP, Modulo's army is actually right about where it is now.
Is it?
The
Okay.
extra grunt was just a bunch further behind. Yeah.
Okay. I misremembered it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels, it's certainly, with them being down there, it feels better for them to go this way. But if they were here,
Yeah.
and Neb didn't know where they were,
yeah,
I think this is a dangerous move. I don't mind him looking for it.
Yeah.
Um,
definitely. It's
but
like you definitely react to whatever.
yeah, like
happens.
I'd look for it. I'd be really hesitant to commit to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and where you've drawn the arrow to is about as far as I'd commit without like, or as far as I'd draw the waypoint without like giving myself a chance to react. Because that's the part where it's like past that you can't really get out that easy.
I mean,
But there you
personally,
still can get out fairly well.
yeah, personally, I'd be really happy to run a grunt in or a grunt in.
Yeah.
It's not a big committal.
I'm not so happy about that.
Yeah, I know you're less happy about that, but for me, that gives like a lot of opportunity for him to make a mistake, for him to pull too many units back to deal with the problem and get overrun somewhere, without risking a lot. But that's how I like to play. So I wish I could ask
The
Neb
other
how
thing to
he's
note
thinking
is
about
you
it.
still do very much have more grunts in the field, and you could definitely right now be killing that constructor expanding over to the 2 mechs on the left.
22.
There's not enough grunts.
Yeah.
Modulo has to defend that. That could be dead.
Yeah. Would you bring these over, or would you just send these?
Just send those.
Yeah, I think
probably bring the other light move over.
The what? Sorry.
I'll probably bring the other grunt slightly over so that they're more between the base and the army.
This way.
Yeah, sort of. More because of the crater there, I'd probably bring them more to that second arrow you drew.
This one.
More just down. I think Neb's building a laser tower over there. But if he was building a radar there, especially slightly more forward than the other one, I'd be especially happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And not a radar on the Venus pillar.
It's too far back.
It's too far back. It's cool and all, but it's not actually good.
Yeah. One near the mechs is like, where would it have to be to scout out that extra mechs that Modulo has? Because that's where I'd want it.
Where specifically do you mean? Which mechs? Over here?
The con over the 2 mechs? No. The other frontline one.
Yeah?
Yeah, how far forward would the radar have to be to scout out that mechs?
This mechs?
Yes.
I think quite far forward. Yeah, somewhere here.
Okay. Build it there. You've got an army there and you're winning engagements. Build it right there.
Yeah, I think so. You took a good fight over here. You know you took a good fight. Could have been an even better fight if you had been less hesitant. But
yeah.
Could have been a game-winning fight. Little hesitant here. Of course, part of the problem is, of course, we know how much Modulo is greeted. Modulo is greeted very hard.
Yeah.
We're going to say this again. Units in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
These aren't doing anything. These are useless.
If you can drill yourself on one thing, Neb, don't put the units in the middle of the map.
Yeah. They're like right near the edge of the radar as well. Like, this gives you so little time to react. Like in a sea battle, I'd say like this is a terrible, like the worst possible position. The only worst position could be right here, but
I don't know.
For sea specifically.
For sea, yeah.
Because you never want to be like on the edge of your radar. You always want to be
Yeah.
well inside radar.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Those, I would not set target on the constructor right there. Let me get mine forward. I want to see how many units die there.
He actually still outnumbers Modulo in units here.
It does.
Oh no, he doesn't quite. No, he doesn't. Sorry, I missed two of them. He's only slightly
if he ran
less.
down, it might be okay.
Yeah, I mean, if he goes this direction, he kills these. He could end up winning that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, but also Modulo could run down with his grunts up the top.
He could.
So mine, like to begin with, it was 10 against 10, I think. Let me just get my unit deaths thing up. Yeah, he's lost one grunt so far. So it was a 10 against 10, in which case his just don't take the fight, probably.
Yeah.
I don't think killing the con is worth losing that much army.
Yeah, I 100%. I think it was I'm going to push forward, and then he's realised too late that he was walking into units.
Yeah.
Miss micro. Yeah. Got to be more careful about moving forward, especially out of radar range, because this radar. Look at this range.
Yeah.
It's literally just outside of range. Look at that.
Yeah.
Your silly penis pillar radar now lost you this fight.
Yeah.
Probably lose all of those? No. Modulo
yeah, could have squared up the grunt slightly earlier and done a little bit more damage against that army. It could have still turned out mostly even.
Yeah. Pushing forward is fine.
So long as you supervise it.
As long as you supervise it. He is paying attention.
Yeah. What's your radar like on this side?
That's a com kill, isn't it?
Probably, yeah. It was a 6-minute game, and that's bang on 6 minutes.
Yeah.
GG.
So I think Neb was in a losing position without that happening. Only slightly. Just because Modulo has managed to grid so many more cons and still been fine. I think it's still very even. I definitely don't think it's over, but I think it's a mildly losing position if Modulo doesn't make that mistake.
I think 11. It's 10. I think it was still bang on even.
Yeah. It's very even. I'd say it's
The only significant difference is Modulo had his comm in the middle of the map. The grunt armies. The grunt army was slightly in Modulo's favor, maybe, but then we've also got I think I miscounted Neb's. Neb has an economic advantage in metal production, slightly behind in energy production, which is why he's got a disadvantage in metal production because his nexus are turning off. Simple enough to remedy. I think he had enough of a positional advantage still that he still had an opportunity to kill the con on the left side and the mechs there and the LLT. I think that was bang on even. And I don't think it was that much in Modulo's favor.
Yeah. Like I'm saying, it's not a lot in Modulo's favor. I think very slightly, just because of the extra cons out.
Yeah, and it depends what you consider the advantage, because Modulo doesn't have that many places he can expand to. Neb does have the resource advantage and the map position advantage to have time to put out extra constructors.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very, very, very even game.
It depends who plays better to their advantages, really.
Yeah, definitely. And Modular just made a big mistake and lost from it. So, I mean, that is the thing. It was quite a well-played game by Neb. There were some mistakes that meant he didn't win it sooner.
I mean, when you're picking on the position of a single radar, it's like, A, he's built the radar, which is awesome.
Yeah.
B, it's like, it's a very slight movement and a slight optimization. So very well played to Neb.
Yeah, generally very well played.
We very much were nitpicking that game.
Oh, yes.
Nits that make a huge difference, don't get us wrong. They do make a huge difference.
But
literally, we were nitpicking.
It's only because he said, I played it, that was definitely my best. I played exceptionally well. So we have to, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was genuinely well played. I'm not going to say it wasn't. Yeah. Well, I think I keep wanting to do more, but we probably should stop.
Yeah. I'd like to look at the other X Factor Live game another time, because that's a different play style to Modulars.
Yeah.
And would have more of a meat in that game, but maybe another time.
Yeah, no worries. Oh well, thanks. Right. That was good fun.
Yeah, it was. Thanks for the review. Thanks for the debates.
Yeah.
I'm right, you're wrong, obviously.
Who's higher?
And we can establish that next time.
All right. Well, see you. Have a good one.
Catch you later. You too. Bye.